All right, for this project, we're gonna start off by painting it. So in the corner, I can see it's almost like a sunset. So we're gonna start off with yellow in the corner and just kind of make it, looks like it's kind of like a sunset, so kind of like a semicircle in the corner. And then it kind of fades, so a little bit of light coming from that as we mix with some pink. So wipe off our brush and go into some pink, some light pink. And I just kind of dab it around to get those colors to combine together a little bit. And I'm using tempera paint, but you can use any kind of paint that you want. Looks like the pink kind of goes up into the sky this way, over towards the corner, over towards the edge. And it's gonna start combining with some blue. Might even get a little bit of a darker blue too. Maybe even a little purple at the top. We can go back and forth with this a few times. Just kind of laying down the colors at first, and then we'll slowly combine them together. Kind of the basic colors down. So we're gonna start blending them together a little bit more. So I'm gonna add some more blue on top while the paint's still wet to combine those colors a little bit more. So at first it kind of looks like it doesn't combine, but as you blend the colors and mix them together, it goes from light to dark. So you start out with just a general idea of where you want your colors to be, and you go back in and add more detail to it. So for me, paint's the easiest. If you don't have paint, you can use markers, and you can add a little bit of water onto the top of the markers to make them like a watercolor with the marker. Wipe off my brush. And like I said, I'm just doing these quick back and forth strokes, and that's gonna allow me to pick up some of that paint, make it a little lighter, a little darker, because the paint's still wet. And that's giving me kind of more of that sunrise or sunset cloud look that I want. So you can kind of see it's kind of billowing up. Now if I want to do less than that, then I wouldn't add the blue there, but from the picture I can see that there's a little bit more blue there, and the clouds are kind of going up and over to the side. Maybe I'll add a little bit more pink there. And it blends really easily when the paint's wet. So you want to do this kind of quick to blend the colors together. And I don't know if I like how I did that, so I might go back in with the lighter. And then go back over it with the darker pink again. You're just building layers. And it looks like there's a little bit of orange in it. Not too much, but just a little bit. So I'm just taking my brush and I'm flicking towards me. So it's these little quick motions to make these tiny little marks that pick up the paint and spread it out a little bit. I'm gonna go back to my yellow, kind of combine that orange and that yellow together. A little bit more. A little bit of yellow on top. Kind of spread it out. Maybe a little bit of pink over here. Show that it's transforming that area. Putting a hair dryer on it and just kind of going in like a circular motion with the hair dryer on a low setting will really help to make that dry faster. So you can see that the bottom is still a little wet. You can see it kind of shines a little bit more than the rest of it. But while I'm still waiting for this part to dry, I can do the stars. So I'm gonna get a smaller brush. I used a bigger brush to make the background, and that's just so that it goes quickly. But I'm gonna use a smaller brush for the stars, and I wanna make sure my brush has a nice point to it. And that'll help make the tiny little dots for the stars. So you're just gonna draw little dots and space them out however you like on your paper. Kind of randomly around the night sky. If you're using marker to do this, you can use the marker down first, and then for the dots, if you don't have paint, you can use a white crayon and just gently dot in the dry marker. All right, so now we're gonna do the tree, and I'm gonna show you a trick that a lot of artists use. So they get a piece of chalk and they use it to outline their design, and that way the chalk can erase, and it won't leave lines like pencil mark lines. Okay, so to draw the birds, I'm just using a circle for the head, an oval for the body, and then a triangle for the tail. Maybe add some little triangles for the beaks, and those are our birds. I'm just going to add a couple more branches on the sides of the tree, and then we'll start painting our tree in with some black paint. Alright, to paint this tree in, I'm going to start by making our heart shape with our spiral on top. And I'm using my thin brush so that I can go thicker as I need to, but it looks like the branches are kind of thin, so I want to use a thin paintbrush. If you don't have paint, you can use a black marker to draw this part in. So now I'm going to go in and paint my birds using the same shapes that I used. I might do some lines for the tail feathers so that they look a little bit more like tail feathers, and then triangles for the beak. And there I have my birds, and I'm just going to finish making the branches. Now you might see some of the chalk lines, and those you can just smudge away with your finger once the paint dries, so no worries about the chalk. Again, if you don't have chalk and you used a pencil, you can erase it when you're done. Just be careful that you don't erase too hard so you don't mess up the paint. Also make sure that the paint is dry when you try to erase it, otherwise it'll smudge a little bit. So there you see, I'm using my finger smudging away those extra chalk lines that I don't need. All right, and here's our finished picture. I'm going to erase the chalk when it dries, but I hope you enjoy. Thank you.